Making Audacity 3.3.x look more familiar. Is the new interface layout in Audacity making you feel out of sorts? We'll help resolve that ailment in this issue of Stuart's Audacity Tips. This tip is one of those that's aimed at longtime users of Audacity. You're here, so you probably know some of those. Feel free to share this with them. I bet you'll feel better too. Not too long ago, I wrote a tip about the changes introduced to Audacity in version 3.3.0, including a new streamlined interface. But I didn't go into much detail about how the interface had changed. I've had a few questions and comments about that new interface and how it's thrown some Audacity users for a bit of a loop. So let's take a look at it in more detail and settle some of those qualms. First, let's take a look at the two toolbars. These are taken from Audacity 2.4.2 on the top and Audacity 3.3.2 on the bottom, each in its default layout. The new interface consists of a few changes in three major areas: the main tool buttons, the levels monitors, and the default toolbars display. The main tool buttons, which I used to refer to as the Big Six, have been reduced to 4. The time shift tool has been removed because clips can now be dragged by their top handles without requiring selection of a special tool. And the zoom tool has been removed since its function is duplicated in the various zoom buttons on the edit toolbar. These changes don't seem to have caused a great deal of confusion, so I'll move on. One of the more confusing issues in the new interface is the incorporation of the recording and playback levels controls into their corresponding monitor bars. In this illustration, these controls are outlined in purple. In Audacity prior to 3.3, the levels controls are on their own toolbar, and recording and playback monitor controls each have their own toolbar. In Audacity 3.3.x and later, the level controls are contained within the monitor meters, and recording and playback toolbars are aligned with each other at the left end of the toolbars area by default. In these illustrations, the controls are outlined in green and gold, respectively. Finally, the new interface hides the Devices toolbar by default. This is because the settings on that toolbar can be accessed through the Audio Setup button, which is displayed by default in 3.3.x and later. But many VOs use the Devices toolbar for quick visual reference when they set out to record, so it's helpful to turn it on. This can be done in the View menu under Toolbars. In this illustration, the Devices toolbar is outlined in light blue. You can also turn off the Audio Setup toolbar if you don't want that big button in the middle of the toolbars. Don't worry, you can still get to all the audio device detailed settings under Audio Settings in Preferences. There's one more new control to consider: the Share Audio toolbar. It contains one control, the Share Audio button. You can turn that toolbar off if you don't want to see that button. Finally, you can drag any toolbar to a different location in the toolbars area. Grab it by the narrow vertical bar at the left end and drag it to where you'd like it to be. So, to sum it all up, here's a quick checklist you can follow to make a new installation of Audacity 3.3.x or later look more familiar. First, turn on the Device toolbar in View Toolbars Device. Second, turn off the Audio Setup toolbar in View Toolbars Audio Setup. And third, turn off the Share Audio toolbar in View Toolbars Share Audio. The results won't look exactly like Audacity 2.4.2, but it will be much closer. Hope this helps. I'm Stuart.